And sometimes I have to fix my intention.
Yes, sir. Wow.
Sometimes I can reduce my anxiety just by shifting my intention. Just by going from, how are people thinking about me to realizing they're not. Maybe if I would think about others. Why didn't she speak to me? Why didn't you speak to her? How about that? Why didn't you, when I'm up here, a lot of times I can get locked into performance mode real quick, and it makes for a thirsty sermon. It's not the best sermon. It's hard to give living water when the preacher is thirsty. But when I shift my intention and go, and I hope this doesn't offend you, but sometimes I make up stuff about you. I just look in your eyes and pretend like you're going through something horrible. I do. I just picture it like you just do on the verge. And just by wanting to help you rather than perform for you, when I shift my intention, I feel something fall off when I do. You can shift your intention in any interaction, and immediately when you do, when you step out of the center and try to see, how can I serve? I'll tell you what will go when you step out of the center. The burden of the weight of how you're coming across, the burden of the weight of how you're being perceived, the burden of the weight of what other people are and are not giving you. You have got to get out of the middle and see things from God's point of view. Search me, God. Am I anxious because it's just the rhythms of life? Then fine, I'll get through it. Or am I creating more waves than necessary because my eyes are not focused on Jesus? I found out a lot of it is not even real. Have you noticed that? A lot of it is in this sacred place that God has given us by which He shows us who He is. It's the sacred space of your imagination. I want you to reclaim your imagination. You hear me? I want you to take back your most valuable asset. I want you to take back that place in you that used to be playful. And now it is so stressed and panicked. That place in you that used to just make up games as a little kid. Just make up games. Just would walk up to anybody. I want you to get back that childlike faith. Just play around. Just play around. See, the devil wants to turn the place that was meant to be your playground where you could enjoy God into a battleground where you can't even feel or experience Him. When the enemy comes after your destiny, his first step is to set up a stronghold in your imagination. The enemy wants to make it where you can't stand to be alone because you've got an internal ISIS that has set up terrorist cells. And every time you go to think, you worry so much about what might happen that you can't worship God. So now you can't worship because you're so worried. But God said today, we're going to get this thing turned around and recapture your imagination to where you feel free again, to where you can dream about something again, to where you can think crazy thoughts and just write stuff down and just walk around singing stuff off tune, making up words. You used to do that. You used to do that. You used to walk around just with just anything, but now you're so anything. I told the devil the other day, get your hands off God's property. My imagination is God's house. My imagination was purchased with the blood of Christ. You can't set up camp here. I got dreams to dream. I got visions to see. I got a future to imagine. The good news is, if you're really good at worrying, you're going to be great at worship. Because all it is the same imagination serving the opposite purpose. So what I'm doing now, y'all help me preach. I'm about to close. But before I close, God said, we need to reverse the cycle of the way that you're thinking about things. We need to reverse the cycle. So when you wake up in the morning, stop checking the fear cast. Stop waking up in the morning and thinking about how every possible meeting could go wrong and you don't have anything clean and you wore that on Tuesday. I promise you, nobody has been keeping a spreadsheet of your shoes. Put on those same shoes you wore Tuesday and walk into your Thursday and expect to see the goodness of the Lord. Where you at, faith people? Do I have any faith casters in the house? David said, if I take the wings of morning or dwell in the uttermost part of the sea, watch this, even there, your hand will lead me. And your right hand will hold me fast. Because God is watching over me. And he's looking into me. I didn't check the fear cast this week. I checked the faith cast. It's corny, but I bet you it'll drive back depression if you check the faith cast, because God has been too good for me to stay anxious. How many did I give you? I heard a sermon one time. It said, don't stop on 6. So stand up. Stand up. I'll tell you the last thing. When you stand up, it makes me know I'm out of time. Because the enemy wants to fight you in isolation. Why am I anxious? I think the answer to that question can often be found right in the middle of the very word itself. Yes, sir. The word anxious, right in the middle of the word, is the letter I. Yes, sir. I was looking at it a few weeks ago, and I was just looking at the word anxious, and I was thinking, why should I feel discouraged? Why do the shadows come? Why should my heart feel lonely? When Jesus is my portion, a constant friend is he. When his eye is watching over my life, David said, you were there for my conception, and you have been there for every conflict and every season of my life. And David wrote this beautiful psalm. Although we cannot pinpoint the occasion, many think it was at the occasion of his coronation as the king over both the southern and the northern kingdom. It really doesn't matter when he wrote it, because God was watching over every stage of his process. And David says, God, I want you to show me what's really making me anxious so I don't spend the rest of my life waiting for my enemies to disappear before I choose to have peace. And I was looking at the very word, and I saw something that I is right in the middle of anxious, but the word ends with us. And I was thinking about what we do in coming to church, you know, for our weekly reminder that we're not the only ones. We are not the only ones. We came into the presence of God today to be surrounded by like-minded people. But let me tell you something. You got to stay surrounded to stay at peace. Hey, thank you for watching. Make sure you subscribe to this channel so you don't miss a single video or live stream, and share this video with a friend. And don't forget, you can join me live every Sunday. Thanks again for watching.